Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here. We're on 7th through the year. And almost on 8th. But should everyone attending, I think we have everyone but Mr. Now, who is taking some, well, probably needed rest and relaxation. So, again, thank you all for being here. We'll go ahead and get started. Council, is there any adjustments to the agenda? Staff? I'll accept the motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented. Motion. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. I saw you over there studying. Disrupt a little bit.
That's all right. I don't even care if I sound like a broken record. I just wanted to say thank you again to our staff for all of the hard work, for all of the events, the series of the Party of the Park, and everything else that's been done. So thank you all. I'm looking at Emily, but thank you everybody for all of your hard work that you all do to make these things happen for our citizens. I don't think anybody realizes how much you all sacrifice and how much you put into each event that you all do. So thank you so much for all of you. Just thank you for your leadership. And this is college time, of course. We see a lot of our students going back. I just hope and pray that everyone has a good college year and that all the parents are okay. I'm okay. I took mine to college too. But I hope that I'm okay.
He's gone?
He's gone. He left last Wednesday. So yeah, so it's been almost a week. But yeah, so I just hope that all of our, and interestingly enough, I was on the website and one of the students said that they were from Troutman on the Western Carolina side. I was like, hey, Drew, you have a connection in Troutman. So it's just good to see our hometown represented way up in the mountains. So just hope that everybody has a good year. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Bartlett?
Thank you. I'd like to, first of all, thank the police department for still hosting the National Night Out, even though the inclement weather, and kind of weathering that storm, and all the vendors that also stayed to make that a successful night of community interaction. I thought it was a great turnout for the fact that, you know, clouds were brewing and rain was falling, but really good event. Also, I wanted to, you know, as I missed last month's agenda, I think I have a few things I wanted to bring up, but I didn't hear discussed, and one of them was kind of regards to an issue with the school board and our police department maybe being used by the political pundits of this county to kind of enforce or enact their own agendas, and the concerns I have around that with like the involvement and getting in the middle of that political theater, but also looking into what does it look like if we, maybe the sheriff's department took over the school board meeting, being that it's kind of a county board that meets and they bring in county issues that are outside of like our town issues or involvement with our police department. And I just feel a concern for exposing the police department to kind of undue issues that maybe are outside of what we should be scope, and just some concerns I have that have also been brought to me to kind of look into. We would hope that, you know, we can kind of research that or talk about that a little bit more, as I've had some offline conversations that have resonated some of the same concerns with our police department being involved in maybe things that are above and beyond our scope of, you know, being to appear in the public. Also, I wanted to ask council and maybe staff to look into an ordinance, as I didn't see in our UDO, as we're still in a moratorium, but maybe coming out of it or preparing as we do come out of it, if we haven't redone our UDOs before then, for a developer donation, kind of in lieu of, for development in regards to town amenities, things like an extension on the greenway, or some donation to the park, looking for an amphitheater or other things that are in our yearly budget and planning retreat that we discussed that maybe is, to get ahead of, as these things, these policies and ordinances take time to put in place, get ahead of lifting or completing the moratorium and opening up to developer applications, to just kind of be on the forefront that they would be, however we can do that. I guess not an impact fee, but just a donation of a town amenity that benefits the whole town, not just those developments. And something I brought up, I believe, at a budget meeting and kind of got some context on around the flock cameras in recent developments with Mooresville and unauthorized access of flock cameras, not just once, but as I believe Mooresville Police Chief had mentioned, there's 10 more active investigations in unauthorized use. It concerns me, as many citizens have reached out to me in regards to it. And not just that access. I think that our police department does a great job with its training and getting involved properly and accordingly with the rules and statutes over them. But it does kind of draw light that there are concerns in our local communities, and just to ensure that stuff like that isn't happening here, but also how that overlays with our budget and the state's current approval of flock cameras on all state roads and highways. If I'm not mistaken, my assessment of our flock system, we only have one flock camera that's not on a state road, and that's the one at the park entrance. So how does that work with the state paying, giving us money back for the memberships we already pay, or how does that budget look like? I know it's just been passed, so maybe not some research, but asking to kind of look into that to see if there's compensation back from the state, or if those contracts and memberships get handed over to the state to pay for them, being that they approved it in the budget, so that our local taxpayers aren't paying twice for a service and having like overlay of flock cameras for no reason.
The SBI was given money to administer. Basically, they wanted a state agency that has some oversight, but it's up to the individual agencies, the municipalities, to pay for the contract. Okay. With any ALPR. There's multiple. There's Flock, Motorola, GPAC, Axon, Verkada. There's several vendors. Yeah. People like to say Flock camera, but there's multiple vendors, and so you as an agency have to pay to have a camera network if you're going to or build your own out with your own system. So there's no money coming from the state for it.
Okay. So it's, I guess to understand that they've kind of more or less authorized it for.
Yeah, they've authorized that you can place them on state right of ways.
Okay. All right. Well, that helps with that. Also hope maybe some more comes of that, kind of around the line of questioning of the budget and other things, and maybe how we can look at that in the future. That's all I have for today.
Okay, just to come back to a couple of things that you mentioned, school board, we did discuss that at our last meeting. And I don't know if there's any update or, Chief, you want to respond as you did last month?
Yes, we talked with superintendent and members of the school board. The reason we provide, well, first off, the office, not Troutman Police, we're not paying those officers. They're being paid by the school system as contractors, off-duty employees. The reason we're there is we have an SRO there. He handles the scheduling for it, and if an incident happens, we have to respond there. The sheriff's office has no interest in being involved with it, I think, due to the political nature of that job. And our officers are there to, keep the peace, provide security, and, there's certain laws on public meetings. We talk to the school of government and get additional training with every officer on, disturbances, what they look like for attendees, and what a disturbance looks like for a board member, and the rules that a board chairman can enforce or not enforce, and whenever those things with them. There's been several meetings since then. We haven't had any more issues. I know there's one scheduled tonight. We have 2 officers working it. I think it's, if we didn't do it, there probably would not be anybody there, or be a private security company. And so they would have to wait for an officer to respond from patrol to get there to deal with something. So it's better for us to already be there, and kind of be involved with the meetings of talking to, you know, the board.
I think we also talked about even if they hired their own security, if something actually did happen, we're still responding.
Yes, yeah, because it's in our jurisdiction.
Okay, that helps,
Yeah.
thank you.
The other, I guess, item you brought up was the developer donation slash UDO.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's viable, or I've never seen it done, or at least in their UDO.
So there's something like if a greenway is planned on a parcel, then we can require the developer to build that portion or to dedicate an easement for it. But Andrew, do you want to speak to?
I'll just say with the conditional rezoning process, those are the kind of back and forth conversations you can have with the developer. And if they agree to it, it's one thing, but I don't know the legality of forcing them by right per ordinance in order to do something that's not directly related to the property that they're developing.
Maybe it's something that Andrew and Justin can look into in terms of how Davidson is, or how they're handling it. Mr. Harris?
First off, just one of the things that Nick and I had a conversation about the school board, and the other concern we had is that school board member was going out and looking at suing, but they need, that our people would need a direct line that put in suing them, whether it stands up or not. We were concerned that we're putting our people in the spot.
Yeah, and I want to add to it, because you brought up like the political aspect of it and why the sheriff doesn't want to be involved in it potentially. Although I think that's some of the very reasons why we want the sheriff to do it, because the sheriff can be held accountable for what his deputies do. We don't want our police chief held accountable for what the officers get roped into on some political whatever's going on. You know what I mean?
Well, for
Like-
police, it works a little different. It's on the individual officer, because a sheriff, you know, like his deputies, they are acting in his authority. Police officers, their power comes from the state issue.
Okay.
And that, we did train on some things. There was a lawsuit that happened in Avery County, and in that case, it was sheriff's office, and they acted outside of, you know, they actually violated the person's, it was a board member, the first memberized this person. And since, in this one case, we even met with the board member that was asked to leave, and our officers didn't charge her or anything, she was leaving of her own accord, so I think we've got it pretty worked out.
That was what the concern we were, that you get stuck, one of your guys getting sued all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So it was something that the county ought to be charged with that, but that was a concern. The other thing I wanted to thank Isabella for her help in scheduling the iPad training and helping me later on when I still had troubles getting the keyboard working with. But it's been handy. I don't have 165 pieces of paper in my house and I have to worry about it stored around. And then the party in the park was good, well attended. I enjoyed walking around and visiting some of the people there. And then National Night Out was pretty good. With the rain, all those people that work, the vendors got to go out there and get hot dogs, stuff, get something to eat, and get back, and then kind of rain when everybody's out to see them. It got rain. And good crowd turnout. And those are really all I have.
Right. Well, you all covered most of what I was going to talk about. So, again, appreciate all the work, as Ms. Harris mentioned, that the staff has done over the last month. I know it takes a lot to put into these different events, and so Chief, I'll hold you responsible for keeping the weather under control next time.
I worked hard on it.
Yes, thank you for that. And also, just to reiterate what Mr. Harris mentioned on the technology, we're all getting used to it, so appreciate the IT team and getting us all set up and ready to go, and Isabella making sure that all the documents were on the iPad, so again, appreciate that. It does look like we're getting close to getting all those minutes up to date.
Yeah.
So, good job, and with that, I'll turn it over to Justin for any staff comments.
We got one right there.
Oh,
Yeah, before that, I'll let George speak to the CRTPO.
okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I know a lot of you have been seeing the news about Cartpo, and then in May, there was a vote in the Charlotte Town Council to want to rescind the support that Cartpo had done in improving the use of toll roads as a funding opportunity for the I-77. And then they had until a year ago, I think in October, to have rescinded it legally from Cartpo. We were gonna change our mind and drop it out. We didn't do that at Cartpo at the time. And then in May, it was kind of a forced vote that night. I mean, it was kind of jumped into the budget, and the Cartpo ended up voting to rescind the support for the I-77. So the next month, Vicki Sawyer had a law attached that said, if you rescind that vote, you're responsible for everything from January to now that was spent. And the DOT has spent like about $60 million, and that each one of the towns that voted to rescind would be held responsible. So since then, several, Monroe and I think Cornelius, a couple others have decided they want to rescind. They want to change their vote back to no. All the Iredell County, Mooresville State, and Troutman, we voted no, and that rescinded, because we just felt like we were told it was illegal. We all three agreed to do that. But now, the 25th of September, because they've moved it back a week, I understand now, for the September meeting, this will come before the Cartpo again, and they've asked all of us to go back to our council and say, do you want us to vote no, to rescind it, or let it go back the other way, or vote yes, and let it stay not working, because then we would share in that, be about $1 million yes or no on how our town gets stuff on our bill.
So, with that, again, I know, George has got to take that back to the September board meeting, of CRTPO. As George stated, this will come back before the CRTPO, and I think they'd like to have, a vote or some resolution by the town, on that. So, any questions, comments, or other thoughts? Is there a motion?
Well, I mean, I was waiting to see if anybody else, I'm glad it's coming up and coming to the whole council to kind of give advice forward on a vote. I think that the legislative action of clawing money back from the municipalities that, with all the fight that came with the toll lanes to begin with through the Lake Norman corridor, and the continued, lack of satisfaction by local residents, maybe not the traveling or the elite that use it every day, but the local residents that can't afford to travel it because it's, $50 each way to Charlotte in menial time. I think we should still vote to abandon the toll lane project. And I mean, $1 million up front is the threat of a cost, but what's it gonna cost over time when they bring the toll lanes from exit 36 up through 49 and then don't give any on-off access between 42 and 45, or whatever, retribution comes in the back end as they extend this out, because it's been shown that our voice doesn't matter when we don't want tolls, at least these tolls. There's another state-funded toll lane project that's working great down in the Monroe area, where they're getting the funds back for implementing that. But this is a foreign toll system, sending money overseas, where we're not seeing the benefits here in this country.
Any other thoughts or comments?
Well, I would add that we're asked to, we've got the toll road from Mooresville down to Charlotte, but then this last 11 miles, I think it is what it came up, and it had been passed as a funding with P3 funding and approved, and we had until October of last year to rescind that if we didn't want it. We never changed it. Once they went out for a proposal, RFP, I guess is what they went out for, at that point it says you can't rescind it at that point. And it's only at 15% design now. It's nowhere near complete road sign. Us in Iredell County on the board, said on Cartpo, we felt it was not a spot that the battle we needed to fight on that day. So we voted no to not rescind it. But the problem is, we have one vote. Charlotte has 32 votes, I think it is, and then the county has, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12. So they could overwhelm there anyhow. So I just feel like we shouldn't put ourselves, jeopardize $1 million on this, and we should continue to, when it comes back up, to support the funding, P3 funding, versus us being in, because we don't really have a dog in that fight to cost us $1 million. I don't see it.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we keep our, that we vote to not approve the toll lane project, or however that motion needs to be read.
I think it's gonna be, it's gonna be coming back, do we want to, go, I guess, open that toll road thing up and back? I think it's gonna be a yes vote to open it back up. That's what I'm, kind of indicates, what do you think, Andrew? How's it worded?
I just think something as simple as whether to support the continuation of the project or not. So would you rather see the project move forward or just die?
Move forward.
So that's what, I mean, I don't think it needs to be a complicated motion.
Yeah.
You're just getting direction from the
Move
board
forward.
to
Okay.
let
Right
George
now,
know how to
the
vote.
motion on the floor is for the project to die.
Yep.
So is there a second to that motion? So without a second, that motion will fail. Is there any other motion?
I'd like to make a motion to continue.
Motion's on the floor to continue. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay. Motion received a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposition?
No.
Ayes have it. There's one no. Okay. So,
Okay. I'll have that in the meeting on the 5th of September.
all right.
And I did notice that Stateville has it on their agenda, I think, for tonight. And they're doing the same thing to David Jones, what their wish is.
All right, next item on the agenda will be for staff reports.
Thank you, sir. Outside of some of the updates we've already got on the agenda, just wanted to say thank you as we work through the first round of agendas on iPads. If you have any feedback, please let Kim and Isabella know, and we'll get that adjusted going forward. We do have Apple Pens for anybody that wants one. Those came in a little later, so we didn't have those when we distributed the iPads, but Kim's got them, I think, so just let her know if you want to grab one of those. Travis has those right there, so let him know. But yeah, we can keep moving along if you want me to. All right. Andrew, you want to take it over? You've got the next few items.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. We do have on here the introduction of a design review board member. The applicant was Stu Gilman. I don't see Mr. Gilman here this afternoon. The board did recommend appointing him to the DRB. It is on the agenda Thursday night, last item. We can try to get Mr. Gilman to come Thursday night if the board would just like to be introduced to Mr. Gilman prior to making that recommendation. So I would just recommend going that route if that's fine with the board.
I would like to do that. I would also say, do we need to put in place a policy so we have some consistency with, they must be in person upon their application?
I think that's been the policy.
Okay.
I know Mr. Gilman's out of town quite often, so
Yeah.
he might not have been able to make it tonight.
He called me right before the meeting, but it wasn't nothing about coming there. So
I had called him and he told me he was coming today, so he probably just forgot.
No worries.
All right, next item is to look at overview of the development closeout process.
Okay, well, we are kind of in the growing pains segment of the development that we've had in town. We've had a number of citizens come in front of the board asking for status reports and whatnot of subdivisions and closeout. So we just decided it might be a good idea to just give the council a very high level just rundown of the process. And so I'm just going to hit a couple points here of our closeout process, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer. But first off, I'll just start at the base. When you all approve a rezoning case, that's the very initial step. Typically after that, once everything's sold, the developer takes over the project. They'll submit CDs, construction documents. That's at the time where their engineered drawings for streets, stormwater, curb, gutter are reviewed. Anything from the engineering side of things is reviewed by our West Consultants engineering consultant. Anything location-wise is reviewed by the planning department. So location of trees and whatnot. So that's the beginning of the process. So when bonds and whatnot come to play, it's after those CDs are approved. They'll submit a final plat. That's when the basic subdivision of the lots happen. And with that, they'll submit a bond with that. The bond is supposed to cover the cost of infrastructure that will eventually be taken over by the town of Troutman. This usually includes roads, sidewalks, curbs, gutters, any kind of stormwater infrastructure in the right-of-way. If a greenway that the town is going to take over as part of the project, it'll be included. If it's an HOA greenway, it's not included in our bond estimate. That's going to eventually be on the HOA. But the bond is reviewed and approved by West Consultants, so we do look at that estimate to make sure that it's accurate to today's prices. As the project is built, there is an inspector that we have from West Consultants that visits the site often. They witness the work being done to make sure what's being put in the ground is complete, is built to standards that the town requires. As the infrastructure is built, the developer may request a reduction in the original bond value. This is basically, as the work goes on, there's less that they have to pay for. Again, this is reviewed by the West Consultants team with the inspector and the engineers looking over the cost estimates. This doesn't happen all the time, but it happens on a number of developments. As the completion of the development is drawing near, the developer will request the final inspection of all the infrastructure that will be public. Again, the West Consultants inspectors will handle the final inspection and work with that developer about any improvements that are needed. Most of the time, sidewalks, curbs, and street repairs are necessary before we will do the final inspection. And if you ever drive through a subdivision and just see marks, X's, any kind of spray paint on the infrastructure, it's most likely from our West Consultant folks. And we will not allow them to put the final layer on the streets until any kind of potholes or anything on the base layer are approved and fixed. So that's that process. Once all the required repairs are completed to the town specs, West Consultants will write a letter to the town staff stating that the streets are ready to take over and they approve all the infrastructure that we're supposed to take over. We've gone through about 2 or 3 rounds of that this past year with the Falls Cove development. I think sections 3 and 4, you get that letter from West Consultants saying things look good. We think it's up to town standards. Town council, feel free to take the road over if you want to. We put that on an agenda for the council to look at. We've started the process of including some drone photos so you can see what's going on. Again, this does include all infrastructure inside the right-of-way. We do bring it to the council. If council approves acceptance, it's considered closed out, and we now take over maintenance of the streets. I will say that individual phases of developments can be accepted, so the development as a whole doesn't have to be accepted at the same time. So a larger development like Falls Cove, we've had phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4 we've taken. We still have not taken over 5, 6, and 7. And that's just a basic high-level kind of walkthrough of the process of where it starts, where it goes, and close out. And with that, I'll open up for any questions you may have.
I have questions, but I'll open it up. So,
I just wanted to thank you for putting it into our bulletin for this month, kind of the highlights of it. It was good to see that in there, so people can get a little understanding of what's going on.
How often does West Consultants oversee the construction, or is it an ongoing project manager type situation, or monthly, quarterly? So
with the growth we've had, I believe the West Consultants Inspector is kind of like an on-call thing. Like the developers will call them when they're ready for the next step or they're ready for the next thing to be inspected. So I think it's more at this point of an on-call thing. As we move forward, we don't know the rapidity of the residential development, if that will continue or not. But my understanding is that's how they're doing it right now.
Okay. Is that, has there been, as you brought that up, it reminded me, my question about Dorian apartment sidewalk from a couple months ago. Have we looked into that, the extreme grade change?
We've had the West Consultants Inspector look at it, and per the West Consultants Inspector, what they have out there met approved plans. So that grade will have to be graded once the Tally Street sidewalk comes in.
Okay.
Yeah, question?
Was that an oversight on the original plan? I mean, it's 5 foot below the street grade.
Yeah, I can't speak on engineered review. I don't really do the engineer drawing reviews. It may have been.
Is that West Consultants too?
They're the ones that would sign off on any kind of grading like that.
Okay.
Yep.
In terms of the bonds, Andrew, how do we, I think you mentioned that the bonds are based on present value. Is that by statute?
Yes, it's present value 1.25%. So you have that like 25% extra buffer to protect any overages you have, but I think we've seen that inflation and whatnot is probably goes up a lot quicker than that. But it is a statutory thing.
In terms of, I guess, looking at some of the development that's happening, I guess in our UDO, is it possible that we can look at where, say, a community is pretty much completed, maybe it's a certain percentage, maybe it's 90% complete. I guess a lot of the questions we're getting from residents is around that last 10%. And so how do we, or is there a possibility for us to put something, how long should that last 10% take?
Sure. I don't think there's anything in the statutes that addresses that. It might be something that we could get with legal counsel to see if it's a possibility of something we could do.
Jason, or you don't have anything?
Matt's handling the bond issues, he's doing some research on that.
Okay, yeah. I think that's where we've gotten the hang up from residents. Right. I mean, the homes have been built, but infrastructure and some other things haven't been fully completed.
And we have room around to look at some of those neighborhoods as well.
Yeah.
So can I get clarity on, so we're supposed to take the roads over and they're still,
No. After, we will inspect them before they put that last coat on. And then we take them off.
That's right.
Correct.
Yep.
I've done that a couple of times, so. Same question. Any other question for Andrew on that process? Okay. We'll move into the next item, which is review of proposed text amendment language allowing residential septic systems. Mr. Van Tresca.
Okay, this is kind of a continuation of what we discussed last month. If this looks okay to council, I'll bring it forward to planning board at the end of this month. We discussed potentially allowing septic systems on larger lots if asked to do that. One, this is a way that we can maybe have some larger lot development. But what I've got here, what I'm proposing is the red text in your packet. So what I've got here is sanitary sewer is required on all lots that are under half acre in size. So if you're under half acre, you will not be allowed to build on septic systems. But if a development is proposed in the RS or the RP districts, those are our two largest residential districts from an area standpoint of minimum lot size. The developer may choose to do the residential lots in individual septics. I also got in here that if town water is requested along with the septic lots, annexation into the town limits is mandatory if the lots are already not in the town limit. So if they are requesting water, they still are required to annex into town. I did take a look at commercial lots. It's a little bit different, but the language that I'm suggesting here is as far as septic for commercial or any kind of alternate wastewater treatment device, I've got here, if an alternate method is approved by the town engineer and DEQ, we'll accept it. My understanding is DEQ usually doesn't approve these for non-residential lots, so I don't think we'll see it. But I wanted to add DEQ in there because they're going to be the entity that ultimately decides. So that's kind of what I'm proposing with this text amendment. Again, we did talk about it last month. Anything that comes up, any questions you have, I'll be happy to answer.
I know that Andrew has crafted a very well-written text amendment. I do not think that text amendment has ended up in your packets.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
if you would like to run and make a couple quick copies of that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was trying to.
Motion to approve.
I was trying to send you a looks like, yeah, I got a lot of them, but I didn't get that one.
Yeah,
We've only got 165.
that's right. It should have been 167, yeah.
I do like the way that Isabella and Kim have put the links to it, so my strong response.
Sorry about that.
Well, you couldn't see my beautifully crafted use of the English language.
I'm sure the red line was very well appropriate.
Is, I mean, I do have a question before we even get the text amendment from us. Is that at all overlaid with, was it House Bill 628 about the septics and approval and restrictions and stuff?
I mean, it's a consideration, but it's not the driving force behind this amendment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
very good.
Any other questions?
So where we are, that has to go to planning and zoning board and then it'll come back to us?
With the amendment, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll have more time to review.
That's right. Yeah.
No worries.
So it would
Yeah.
go to planning board end of August, and then you'd see it again in September.
I would just say, I think going that route does give us another alternative to continue if we have zoning approved, because down the road, we may not be in a good position to guarantee wastewater. You know, it's what we're in trouble with today, and it's not gonna be a whole lot improved in the future. It'll be a little bit more, but this gives us an area, you want it, we're not responsible for waste. If you can follow this system, go to septic tanks. And that gives the developer, we're not denying them. We don't have to have that battle with us. That's what I feel better about. It allows us to say, okay, you can go this route, but we're not gonna guarantee you we can put sewer to you. Any project.
Do you need a motion? Or does this just move through?
Just a head nod, and we'll take it to planning board this month.
I'm good with it.
All right. Okay, next item is update on the Tyler Street sidewalk project.
Okay, so I've got one update, but it's actually a pretty big update. So we've been approved for a right-of-way consultant by NCDOT, and as of this afternoon, I have put in the application for DOT to release the funding to start the right-of-way process. So we are finally graduating from the design phase to the right-of-way phase, and
12 years later?
hopefully we won't have to wait as long. But what this means is we're going to have a consultant do the appraisals, anything that's not in the right-of-way that we're going to need to either get easements agreed to or purchased. The whole negotiation with property owners will start soon. So fingers crossed that is not like pulling teeth.
How many property owners?
Oh, I believe there was somewhere, it's about 40, somewhere in that range.
Well, I hope all those property owners are amenable to the advancement of a sidewalk in that area for safety.
Well, and the town owns a few properties, so if you all don't want, please don't try to drive a hard bargain on me.
I think that budget needs some line
To go
items,
door
right?
to door and get the others, so. All right, thank you.
Yes, so our park lighting's coming around nicely. They started about 2 weeks ago. They brought in all the supplies. They've since completed all the site prep. They've installed poles around both the softball fields, the concrete, and they're now assembling the tops of the poles that will then be erected on top of the bases that are there. So phase one's moving along well. Greenway lighting, they've asked our staff to remove our banners and brackets and hardware this week, and they plan to come in and remove the poles as soon as we have that gone to replace with the fresh poles. So I did ask that they stagger the removal. I had some concerns about all the poles being removed at once, so I asked for 11 poles to be removed, replaced, and then the next 11, so we at least have some continuity of lighting. Since some people use our Greenway for transportation to and from work or getting ready to be to and from school, so we will have some lighting. It will just be half as they pour the concrete bases, wait on that to cure, and then it can install the poles. So we will have some, but it's just a 2 or 3 day turnaround, but they are gonna stagger.
What's the time frame?
As soon as we get our poles cleaned off, then they'll come in and remove them. Then they'll release the project to construction. So I don't know what that looks like, but that's all I was told, release it to construction. Yeah. But it was supposed to only be a 30-day turnaround once we got to this point. So within the next few weeks, we should see some movement.
The both. Both.
Um,
So when you ask for the time frame, what about the park?
The park should be fully completed by the end of October.
Okay.
And this is a 30-day turnaround for completion here. So 30 days from once it's released to construction, this should be fully completed by October.
Okay.
We're in phase one right now, which I'd ask that they start with the ball field lighting so that at least our youth athletes would be able to have some lighting for practices, whatnot. That should be done hopefully by mid to end of September, and then we're moving on to dog park, playground, and parking lot lighting for phase two. So, but we're on track, even though we've had all this rain. It really hadn't messed us up too bad. There was 1 or 2 days that we couldn't pour concrete because of the rain, but we're still okay. So we're moving along.
I have a question, kind of around the park. I had somebody come to me last week and ask me as they saw the lights going in, which I'm very excited about that. But as they expand over towards the pickleball courts, if there would be like some kind of reservation system to reserve time with the lights. There's a lot of pickleballers like to play in the morning or in the evening when it's a little bit cooler. And I would hope, in light of our CRTPO vote, that the council would consider dynamic pricing too. If they're all occupied, that we maybe double, triple, or quadruple the price of the court during those hours, because it's the tone around here.
So we do have a reservation process now. So they're welcome to reach out to Sean to get that information. But as it is now, it's first come, first serve. But if they do want to reserve it, they're welcome to do so through Civic Rec and our platform there.
All right, very good.
Or reach out to Sean either way.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm not in favor of dynamic pricing, by the way. I'm a resident. I Troutman our way too much. Next item is project updates. Mr. Longino?
Yeah, I did want to add one thing. I meant to bring this up while we were having the septic discussion. If you remember back around the turn of the new year, we tabled a rezoning case on Byers Road. We've been getting some questions from the applicant of when that's going to come back, and they've requested that we ask to get that back on an agenda. I'm just looking for direction of council to direct me when we want to get that back on the agenda. It will not have to go in front of planning board. Planning board made a motion. I do feel that we should give the adjacent property owners notice that it's coming back. So I would suggest September at the earliest. But I did want to bring that up to council and get some direction.
Can you resend that out, the information out to the council? And then,
Sure.
Maybe we put it on the agenda for Thursday night. Give you an answer.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Is that the downzoning case?
That's right.
Okay, all right.
All right.
One thing that's not on the agenda, I do want to get some clarity from council. A few months ago, Councilman Now had directed for some additional Christmas decorations. Right now, there's some discounts that if we were to purchase now, it's like summer discounts because you're buying Christmas in the summer, right? So I don't know if that's a consensus of the council that you all were interested in me purchasing additional Christmas decorations for the Greenway. But I can look into that and bring pricing if that's something you all are interested in, or if that was just something he wanted. But I did want to ask while pricing was still lower than it would be if we wait a couple more months. We never really got full direction when I think he wanted the tree to be extended.
Larger?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's what
yeah.
it was. But just want a little bit of direction on that before
Yeah.
pricing goes back up.
Yeah, if you can bring it to the next
Okay.
meeting, I think that'll.
And definitely that one specifically, right, with our tree up here in the front and at the park, if we can make them larger, would be great.
So do go forward with bringing pricing for that,
Yeah, please.
along with some additionals. Got it,
Yeah.
okay.
Did we lose a pole in the front?
Someone had an accident.
Somebody backed into it.
Yeah.
In a rental truck.
Backed into it? A little steep, but I'll leave that for another conversation. Okay. All right, anything else?
No, I just needed that direction. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Longino?
Thank you, sir. I just want to give a quick couple of updates on some projects. You all may have seen our temporary office building that's over here next to Planning House. That was put in place a couple of weeks ago, and we've been working with Duke and then our Public Works folks to get all the utilities and everything connected. I'm sure you've had some questions and heard some comments about it, so just wanted to take a minute to kind of address what the plan is for it. As I mentioned, it's a temporary office building. So the plan is for it to house some of the additional staff that were put into the budget this year, and then some of the staff in town hall that are sort of doubled up in an office currently. Longer term, as we work toward expanding town hall, that will probably be the nomadic office, as I'll call it, whereas we have some people moving into maybe a new part of the building, and then some other folks moving into that building while we renovate this space. So it'll be sort of a flexible space for a little while. We are a couple of weeks away, I think, from actually being able to move into it. We're just waiting on Duke Energy at this point. I'd like to have you all to come over and look at it. It's much nicer on the inside than it is on the outside. And we're also working with a landscape contractor to do some landscaping around the front and the sides to provide some additional screening and soften it up a little bit.
Not soon skirted, fully skirted.
Austin's actually looking into camo netting to throw over.
Even that, I go there, I'm going to shoot. Some residents will probably.
If we can't see it with that close to Eastway, I'll be impressed.
But any questions on that? So good segue into the town hall expansion project. So I mentioned last month that we were getting close, and we're very close. We had some staff vacations and then some architect vacations, and so it slowed things down a little bit. But I have a full set of sort of floor plans that I've shared with the property committee folks. We still haven't gotten together to review those, but wanted that committee to have a chance to review it. And while they're reviewing that, the architect is working on a 3D model of what the building will actually look like. So we have some of those renderings previously from the design, but we've added a third floor to that back portion, so we don't have anything that shows us kind of what that looks like from the exterior. So he's working on that model, and we'll be able to look at different angles of that to really get a full picture. So hopefully we can bring the model and the floor plan back to the full council in September after the property committee's reviewed it a little bit and made any necessary changes there, and then we can keep moving forward and hopefully go out for bid soon after that.
Are we gonna get one of those tabletop 3D models?
We can. That's probably gonna be extra, but plan is just for pictures right now.
Okay.
Any questions on that one?
No.
And then the next is just a quick update on the Lyatt building. So we had discussed a month or two ago about taken a small step forward to look at what we might be able to do with a potential, potential business that wants to lease the space. So I have, been talking with Jason on a draft framework for what a lease might look like. I've also reached out to a, commercial appraisal company to see, if we can get a, evaluation on what a fair market rent would be for that space. And, would also plan, haven't done it yet, but have it on my list to get the, fire marshal and building inspector from the county in there just to get their thoughts on any kind of upgrades that we might need to do to make it, just compliant and a leasable space really. So, it's still moving forward. It hasn't come back to you all yet because we're still working on some things, but I just wanted to update the full council on that.
What type of business?
It is a, government contractor, so they, manufacture, I think it's the actual bulletproof glass that goes into, government vehicles. And so they are, they're looking at leasing about half the space now and then would want to potentially expand the space into the next 6 months or a year or so after they move in.
So the only problem I'm gonna have with that is if we're working on a land use plan, and I know that we've been talking about this for years and years, that area becoming more of a recreational type area, and now we're talking about industrial again. I just think we've really got to focus on keeping things the way we say we're going to go with it. Don't think industrial needs to go there. Maybe a hotel, a restaurant, something that goes along with the fairgrounds needs to go there. And this is not anything new, this is something that's been around for a very long time that we've talked about.
And this is not a sale.
Yes.
This is a lease.
Exactly.
So we will, before it's sold, we'll come back before the council for that decision.
How long will the lease be? Is it a year to year, are we gonna do an open-ended? I mean, I feel like if we're going to create a UDO, and we've been saying this forever, this is one of the things that really gets me upset, is the fact that we do not follow it. And that needs to be followed. That needs to be a recreational area, that needs to be something that the
Currently,
citizens want to use.
it's not,
Anything,
it's
but we
not-
had the option of doing something else, we had people interested.
did they contact us?
Yes,
Okay. So they've made a bid on that space?
no, they were told not, they couldn't.
Okay. Okay, that's something we can talk about offline. Okay. Anything else on that, Justin?
No, sir.
All right.
I got a question as we're talking about properties, the closing of Keystone, right? That is a great update. But I had a question regarding the deed and the 29 acres. How long before that's deeded back to the town?
That was, yeah, we did get the survey. There was a time frame in the.
Well, they said 9 months and you're.
Yeah, I think it has to be, completed within 9 months.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll plan to start discussions soon so that we can work through it and be 9 months at the time frame.
Okay,
Get
very
it
good.
done.
Any other questions? Go to the next item, which is overview of Thursday's meeting.
Thank you, sir. So we'll have the Reverend Fire Chief Wesley Morris with us to deliver the invocation. And then we will move into the consent agenda, where I asked Kim if we really had that many meetings in June and July, but she says yes. So we'll go through several sets of minutes there. And then the first item after those is a amendment to the position classification plan. So briefly, there has been some movement within the finance and customer service department, and Gina has wanted to reclassify some of those positions. I can let her speak to that, and then we're also asking you all to amend the position plan to include a captain position for the police department. It won't, would be just a title change, wouldn't be adding a position or anything like that, but Gina or Josh, if you wanna.
You go first, Josh.
With our current rank structure was what was built and established since, probably the eighties or nineties, maybe early 2000s. As we've grown, we need to, make it fit our agency size and allow for parity with other departments that, staff members are working with. And so we'd like to, have a position of captain placed in there. We wouldn't be adding it, another employee, it would be a title change. So the person who is currently a lieutenant, but operates in, like, as the second command and is over the, largest group of officers, that title would just change.
And one other point specific to, well, that reminds me, I'm not specific to the police department, but we have a lot of, compression within the different grades and, positions within the town, because as to Josh's point, we've amended it some over the years, but we haven't looked at what that full span of positions has been in the last few years because we've grown so quickly. So we've, been looking at options to, bring in a consultant to do a study on those positions and that compression, and a review of that to make sure that it's more equitable and that we're able to recruit and retain people. So more on that, but that's something that, as we looked at this and looked at some position changes, has come up.
Would that require a budget amendment?
A study like that wouldn't, no, sir. It could potentially require a budget amendment later if there were salary changes or anything like that. The study itself wouldn't.
So Chief, would that require a budget amendment?
No, currently, that position, because that employee is already within the pay range for that pay grade.
Question, would we eventually need two captains? You said that that person is over a large group.
Yeah, we would, right now, it would just be one, and it would depend on how the rest of the town comes. We would respond to, the agency would continue to grow in the different divisions and let them maybe, how to create a true, like, assistant chief or position or something, which right now we really don't need, but, the cap position, especially because that person's job, he's meeting with captains and majors of other agencies, here in Iredell and over in Mecklenburg County. His rank is what is considered just a patrol supervisor at other agencies. It just would help for, parity and, when we're doing joint operations.
So, for finance, we have, two positions right now classified in customer service. We have the customer service representative, who is our front kind of face of the town. And then we had an administrative support supervisor behind that position. The administrative support supervisor actually moved into our accounting tech position, so that position's open, and just kind of gave me a chance to just look at those positions. Nothing's gonna change as it relates to water sewer. It actually, the new job classifications focus more on the water, sewer, and the utility billing piece. Because although our customer service rep, she is definitely the face of the town, but she spends the majority of her day processing utility payments and helping customers and helping the utility billing specialist with a variety of things, has input on the water sewer policy, a lot of stuff that deals with it. So we wanted to change that title to utility billing and administrative clerk. And the administrative side is the other piece that we're changing. So both positions would, the way that I've written the job classifications, is they'd be able to help out with a little more administrative support. The billing clerk would probably be minimal in administrative support, but the administrative coordinator would actually, a part of their job would be to provide administrative support for the town manager, for HR, for finance, in addition to, they're gonna be sitting at the window, so they'll still be collecting payments and making sure to say hello to, folks that come in and pay the bill. So it just, the reclassifications just really give us that opportunity to have a little more administrative support for Justin and the other folks in admin.
So that title change would be?
So it's going from administrative support supervisor to administrative coordinator. The supervisor only supervised one person, so, and for me, I typically find supervisors should supervise more than that, and we're not there yet, so I wanted take that piece out of it. But the big change is gonna be, they'd be providing support to the town manager.
Will that eliminate one of the positions that we approved for budget?
No, so, our current administrative support super, she moved over to account tech, so right now we have a vacancy. So we only have 2 folks in our front office right now. So this will, if you all approve this classification change on Thursday, we'll actually post this on Friday and seek to find a candidate to fill that position. But because it is different than the current position, we wanted to make sure that have your approval on it first before we actually post it for it to be filled.
I have a question, just speaking of these positions, when we all get together, say we, as in we all get together, do you think there'll be a need for like an office manager? I'm kinda looking at everybody, like somebody to like be the office manager over all the staff? I don't know if that'd be under Terrence or what that looks like.
Potentially. I think that, we'll probably have, a central person in a couple of departments. So if I'm thinking about the layout, this building will pretty much be finance and customer service, so there'll be somebody here, which there's already someone there. Then there'll be another entrance that'll be like for planning or for HR, and there'll probably be someone there. So there'll probably be administrative support for a couple different areas. The police department already has somebody, but they have their own section too.
I know one of the topics that have come up is looking at an assistant town manager role at some point. And I don't know if that kind of fall underneath that. That'd be later,
And so that, when you all, approved this position classification plan in July, we added that position in here, so it's in the pay grade list, but it's not budgeted for. But we did also program space in the town hall for that position, so yeah, it's something that at some point in the near future, we probably would budget for and then have space for it and already have it in the plan. And yeah, I'll let them supervise everybody if they want to.
That's all.
That was not my point.
Oh, okay.
To clarify for Ms. Harris. Thank you. Okay. Agenda.
Yes, sir. So next item is, adopt an ordinance
Before we
title.
move on,
Oh, I'm sorry.
just one thing I'll ask in this spreadsheet, I like it, although can we do like each department where all those are in one department? Cause like looking at it, you got police officers spread over 4 different pay grades, which is understandable, but it's hard to read it. Like I'm looking at police captain right under associate planner and above senior system, like it just doesn't, it's hard to understand.
Yeah, so it's listed by grade, which is in order of, basically pay. But we could do a grouping of
Departmental
the
by
different
grade.
departments. Sure. Anything else?
Back to the agenda.
So the next item is, to consider adoption of an ordinance, titled Capital Project Ordinance for Town Hall Expansion. So this, so for the past few years, council has been, budgeting funds for a town hall expansion and has been putting that into a, capital reserve fund. So think of that as a savings account. And so what we're asking you to approve is a, capital project ordinance, which means we're finally gonna do the thing we've been saving up to do. So this will move the funding that you all have been saving into a, project ordinance so that we can continue to move forward with the architect, and then we already have the funds that we've, been saving available for that, town hall expansion project. Anything else you wanna add to that?
Nope, no, that's it.
Any questions on that? Next item?
All right. Next is, consider adoption of a capital project ordinance for the, Main and Murdoch Road intersection improvements. Andrew, I'm gonna let you talk about this one if you want to.
I think this would just be setting up the payment for the intersection project we got located up here at the intersection of Main, Murdoch, and Old Mountain Roads. Just officially setting up the ordinance for the payment of that.
I'm sorry, that's Gina's memo, so Gina, if you want to talk about it.
So what Andrew said, yeah, so we've had some expenses, primarily from Kimley Horn for the engineering. So in order to get those paid, we need to set up the capital project ordinance. And if you noticed in this one and then a future one, I added a new budget document that tries to lay out exactly where the funding's coming from for both expenditures and revenue. So there is a federal grant tied to this project. And if you see in my report, the federal grant will pay for 80% of the project, while the general fund pays for 20%. So we have not, at this moment, we have not budgeted the general fund yet, because I know there's a lot of behind the scenes that has to happen for that. So we'll take care of that with a budget amendment whenever this project, but we wanted to get the capital project done so that we can at least pay some of the engineering costs.
So the design is complete?
No. But because we have some invoices, and it's part of a capital project, I want to make sure that we just build that framework right now. And then these capital project ordinances don't need to be rebudgeted every year, so this could be a 2, 3, 4, however long the project takes to get off the ground.
Andrew didn't give you a time when it was gonna be complete.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? Sorry.
Well, if this is year one, we've got 11 and a half more to go.
I did kind of want to throw something out about this project. I mentioned that we had a meeting with DOT today and mentioned the Tally Street project. I just want to plant this seed that this is actually a pretty complex intersection, and what we have budgeted, what our initial cost estimate was, may not be what it actually is going to be. So I think Justin and I are going to work with DOT and Kimley Horn about the actual cost of this project, because I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves if this thing comes back at an astronomical cost that the town can ultimately not afford. So I just kind of wanted to plant that seed.
Well, it very much feels like kind of like the Carpo vote, right? Like if we start paying engineering funds and we abandon it later, where are we clawing the funds back from?
And we did have that question today with the DOT folks, and it sounded promising that we would not be on the hook for those. Of course, until we have something in writing, I'm not going to take that to the bank by any means. But we did have that conversation.
Next is approval of a facade design from the Design Review Board. Andrew, I'll turn it back over to you this time.
Okay, this is included in your packet. It's a temporary structure located at 134 Northeast Way Drive, which is the current location of the farmers market down the street. Proposal is for a specialty boutique shop, and I mentioned it's a temporary structure. We don't have any specific requirements for temporary commercial structures in our UDO, so I wanted to bring it through the process of the Design Review Board as well as the council to look at. Design Review Board did approve the facade of the building, and we typically put these on consent, so it was included in your packet. This is the time you guys have any questions or any thoughts or would like to talk further about it, feel free.
And when you say temporary structure, you mean?
So it's not going to be built on a permanent foundation.
So it's gonna be like what we have next door, or?
No. There are some images in your packet of this. I'll say it's a lot more aesthetically pleasing than what we have next door, but it is kind of like a mobile structure.
But it will be sitting on a pad.
It will be. Mm-hmm.
14 by 40, wow.
Any other questions on that item?
No, it's true. A specialty boutique, I mean, just curious what, this sells what? Is it retail or?
It's a retail shop, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do we,
What's your question?
And we do have the applicants here if you have any specific questions regarding the business.
Just happy to see new business coming to town.
Thank you.
Care to describe it a little bit?
I mean, it's gonna be a beautiful place. It may, I know that it sounds like, you know, it's just a temporary shop, but I really want to be here in Troutman. That's why I say temporary building with permanent business. You know, I just need to find my place here, wherever. I don't know what's gonna happen in Troutman. I don't know how it's gonna grow. I don't know how I'm gonna grow. We're gonna carry men's clothes, we're gonna carry women's clothes, faith-based. There's gonna be a porch on the front. I feel like for the community, like it would be a great thing, especially with the farmer's market being right there, with the holidays coming in, like just that kind of hallmarkish feeling, I think, of the community. Also, the community has been so wonderful to us through the loss of Skylar. And that is really what it's about, is just purpose-led. And Skylar was the homecoming queen, and Skylar rode through these streets every year in the parade. And I don't wanna be at home working by myself anymore. I wanna be out in the community. That has helped me heal very much. So it's temporary building, but very much, what my future is in Troutman. And I hope that, you know, it's just.
Hopefully it can turn into something more permanent.
Correct, and that's what my hope is, you know, that
Building is just a place for us to grow
Yeah.
responsibly until we can find a permanent structure here in town that makes sense for us right now. We can't jump right out there and, you know, and be over our heads. So we need a place to start, and we figured, you know, a beautiful place, but also temporary, because when we outgrow it, hopefully, I can move it to my house and it can be my shed and my man cave and my place to hang out. And so we really do appreciate everybody's support that we've had.
Yeah, and
It's our
please-
way of giving back to the community.
And please ask, and I will answer, if you have any other questions, I will answer to the best of my ability. Have you looked at there's a space up near the interstate? Have you looked at that, or is that something you're not interested in, that you prefer to be downtown? Okay. I mean, I would really prefer to be in the heart of Troutman, like where my roots are, where I feel at home.
Not something we necessarily have.
I mean, I think it's a great idea. It's temporary just by the building design, right? But
Yeah.
it could be a permanent structure. It's just that it can be lifted and moved. But the concrete pad's gonna be permanent, right? Unless it's torn up, so that's pretty, you know,
Well,
that's.
it'll be built on concrete piers.
Okay.
So if the building is ever removed, if that parcel of land is sold, I can remove the building and restore the property back to its original state.
Okay.
So, like you, I can't spend that amount of money on a concrete pad just to jackhammer it out and haul it off.
Right.
So,
Is this, 134 Northeast Way, so that's the Realtor's place, is that right? Is this kinda off the side where the gravel is, kinda where the current tent is gonna be? And I'm just curious, right? I mean,
if you're
all
looking at
for
the
it.
tent, it will be at the back side of that gravel lot. So that gravel lot will technically be parking,
Okay.
if you will.
Are you frontage or sideways?
It
Okay.
will be going long ways.
Does
Okay.
Travis still own it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I will also have an office space inside of Travis's realty place.
Mhm.
So that's where I will house like some of my inventory and stuff, and just my office space.
Very good.
And you've already started your business, It has, already started to grow already, so that's a good sign.
It's up and running, so basically, it's just like whatever happens with this, and then it's, you know, one step at a time, I'm just,
I'm married,
The
you just have to
inventory
do
out of
that.
the house.
yeah, he's ready for me to get it.
I think he's trying to claim some space.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, next item?
Next item is a resolution to designate an official depository. So, statute 159-33 says that we have to officially designate where we keep our money. And Gina would like for you to do that for her. So,
Yes,
anything-
please. That'd
anything
be
you wanna
great.
add?
No, I think the other part of the resolution is actually having you authorize electronic payments. Without your approval, we actually cannot do that. We can't receive money, we can't send money. This will actually make it a little easier for us to pay some vendors. A lot of them are asking for electronic payments, so we'll be able to pay them faster. We'll be able to track it, save some money on postage. So that's what this resolution does. And the banks that we have listed there are the ones that we've had. I believe the town started off with BB&T, and then, of course, when it moved to Truist. So we're not changing anything, we just want to put it in writing and make it official.
Any idea in terms of additional costs to do the ETFs or the other type of electronic payment?
So, once I get this designation, I have a plan with Truist right now. We're actually gonna create a higher interest-bearing account for the town. And part of that will be free electronic transfers for us in part of that. We would be, I think, now things have changed because it's been a couple weeks since I got the analysis, but our monthly fees would be around $2,000, but we'd be earning about $18,000 in interest every month. So for a net of $16,000 for us, and then all of our EFTs, wires would be included in that. So I just can't do that agreement unless I have them designated as the bank of record.
Any other questions for Gina on that? Still like in the A's and write checks.
Writing checks causes a lot of fraud sometimes, so.
Okay, next item?
Sir, next item is a budget amendment to basically clean up some things from the sale of Keystone. So we had some money budgeted for Keystone, and with the closing costs and slight decrease in the sale price, we needed to appropriate some additional funds for that, and that's what that budget amendment does there.
Any questions on that? Budget amendment?
Did a good job of making this thing happen.
Thanks, sir.
Getting that one turned off. We gained all that property back in 9 months.
All right, next item?
Next is amending our purchasing and sales policy, and I'll let Gina handle all of that.
So this policy, I think was last approved in 2011. So there are two big changes that we wanted to update. Back then, and for a lot of towns, the purchasing threshold for a single purchase is $500. There's actually no statutory limit on that. So in speaking with a lot of other folks within the finance world, we are requesting that the single purchase price goes up to $1,500. So it doesn't mean that this isn't budgeted, it doesn't mean that we don't track it, but it gives a little more flexibility to the departments for them to be able to buy the needs, what they need for their departments on a daily basis. And with prices going up, it just made sense to increase that. And then the second big change that we have in there is just really putting down our purchasing process, where we try and encumber as much of the funds as possible so that we have an ongoing tracking system to know how much we have obligated our funds to on a regular basis, so that we're not at the end of the year kind of scrambling that we've overspent any lines.
I know our state auditor has looked at various purchasing by various towns.
Yes.
Do you feel like we've got good controls, particularly with purchase cards, that sort of thing?
So that policy will be coming to you next month, hopefully. We have work to do, and we're getting there. We've instituted a lot of internal controls that we didn't have before. So we're slowly but surely getting there. This is probably the easiest one that we've got, but we do plan on bringing forth a P-card policy, and then in reality, what I'd like to do is to have an entire purchasing manual that puts all of these policies together, so it's in one place, so that anyone can come in, whether it's the public or a staff member, and be able to see the procedure start to finish, all of the statutory regulations followed, and all in one place.
Get that before he decides to visit anybody else in our county.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for Gina on that? Okay, next item.
Yes, sir. So, big picture, we had you all adopt an updated personnel policy last month. So with that, we've tried to go through all of our other policies, and slowly but surely we'll be bringing updates and different discussions around those policies to you all. So purchasing policy was certainly one of those, and then this next item is asking you to consider repealing several policies. So as we reviewed some of the old ones, some of them had not been reviewed in quite a while. One of them was definitely typed on a typewriter. And so we wanted to just go through those briefly with you, and then there's copies of those in your packet. And again, we're gonna make some of these recommendations, but I'm happy to have further discussion if you all want to remove it from the agenda and look at it and consider it another month or something like that as we go through it. So this item is asking you to repeal the policy to set basic cable television rates, which we are no longer responsible for. That's policy number 9. Policy number 15 is the street lighting policy, and this was actually incorporated into the UDO I think a few years ago. So they mirror each other, and having one in the UDO is really what we need. So we wanted to just repeal that policy so that it's not duplicated. Then policy number 40 is the accepting and displaying of trophies. So years ago we had a display case in the town hall lobby, and so we had a policy for what trophies went in that case. We no longer have that case. There is a trophy case at the Parks House, but they only display trophies from our rec leagues. So previously it was if some team in the community didn't have a case for it, and they wanted somewhere to house it, they could house it here, but we don't have that anymore, so we wanted to ask you to consider repealing those.
Any questions on those policies?
I have a question on the policy number 40. It seems to be the only one without an actual date of acceptance on it. Is that standard that all policies would have a date of acceptance on it so we can see how long they've been in play?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We have officially signed and adopted ones. Those are just the kind of the policies we use on the shared drive to review. So,
Okay.
yeah, we can look up
The
that date.
Psalms are policy manuals.
Yeah, like the two policies before, it was a 15 and 9. They both have a date, like this was adopted on this day, signed on this day, but then policy number 40 is the only one that just doesn't. So maybe it's even in the policy handbook, but just to make sure that we have a date of, Albert being the mayor tells us a timeline, but.
Yeah, we have those copies. That's just not the copy that made it into your packet.
Very good.
Yeah, when I saw Ann and Mayor Powell, I was like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's the typewriter.
That's right.
Okay. All right, next item.
Copy machine, huh, George?
So the next item is related. So this is actually asking you to consider repealing a policy, but then replacing that policy with another policy. So the accident review policy is a very lengthy policy that has a lot of different metrics or review procedures for various types of accidents that might happen. Again, it's very, very detailed. I think everything from a car accident to a fender bender requires, I believe it's a 7-person review committee, which includes you and some other staff. So in the review of this, we felt that with the updated personnel policy, we had sufficient means to enforce any disciplinary action or take any necessary action that might be required after some sort of accident or in a vehicle or otherwise. But also, to me, the policy reads as we're going to make sure you didn't do anything wrong. And whereas the new policy says, hey, if you have an accident, here's what you should do in the event of that accident. You know, here's who you call, here's how you document it, and then Terrence and I can kind of work on the back end to evaluate what that looks like and what other action needs to be taken. So it really, one to me was kind of on the back end, and this new policy would be sort of how to address things on the front end. But happy to answer any questions you might have on that.
Yeah, I think we're a smaller town at that point.
It's one of the most comprehensive policies in the whole manual.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I asked Justin about it. It's a lot. Any other questions on that policy? Okay.
So we've got public comment, and then we'll move into new business. First is a request from the South Idaho High School Lady Vikings volleyball team for a road closure on Eastway Drive for the homecoming parade. Emily mentioned this morning that I think they have a game that night, so it may be another team that actually comes and makes the request, but in general, there will be a request from South Idaho High School to close Eastway for the homecoming parade. Any questions there? Are we gonna need to use those new barricades?
Yes, absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we're a little out of order.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't in line with my next, maybe I'm getting wrong.
No, we're good.
No, no business. All
Yeah,
right.
we're good.
So we'll get to use those new barricades that we budgeted for this year. So that'll be exciting.
And safe.
That's right. Any questions on that one? No? Okay. The next item is consider approval of an easement for the Larkin development. So this, there's a memo in your packets that details everything here, but basically the town has a force main that runs through the Larkin Commerce Park and runs up to the Third Creek wastewater treatment plant. Jump in here at any time if I get anything wrong. So it runs through the middle of that area. It's been in place for a long time, and the now new owners of the Larkin Park are looking to develop that area, and they want to relocate part of the force main so that they can get a bigger building onto the site, basically. Typically, if there was someone that wanted to relocate a force main, they'd come in, Austin and I would talk to them about it, we'd meet with West Consultants and look at it and review it, and council really wouldn't hear about it otherwise, as it's just kind of moving an asset that we've already got. Because this is something that is going to require not only moving the force main, but then is going to end up having a future connection to it, and I think is going to be an actual extension of the link that we have. I wanted to bring it before you all because it's a little complicated, because I have a moratorium in place and ongoing discussions with Statesville. So I wanted you all to review it and to be able to provide comment on it before we took any action on it.
Do they need an FDIC form to do that work?
They will.
Who's gonna sign that?
They would have to go to the city of Statesville because they're the receiving facility.
Are they gonna sign the one for Wakefield at the same time?
That's not been part of the discussion.
Oh, okay.
So we'll consider that on Thursday.
The next item is consider a resolution to award Water Capacity Improvements Project Phase 2. This is the Parkertown Water Line Extension Project. So this project will run water down 21 to Parktown Road, where Parktown Elementary School is being built. So we had, this project went out for bid, and we had 7 bidders, which is amazing. In the history of the town of Troutman, I would have expected 2, maybe 3 bidders. So having 7 was great. And we received funding from the state for this project, and it came in at just under half of what we had expected it to be. So we're under budget, and we're still on time, and it's moving forward. So this will allow us to continue the final negotiation and sign the contract and keep moving so that we get water to the school by January.
Any questions on that item? Okay.
And similarly is a resolution to award the wastewater transmission project phase 1. So this is the force main from the Shin Farm pump station down to the Williams Road pump station in Mooresville. This is the line that will replace the line we have going to the South Iredell pump station in Mooresville, and will be upgraded to handle additional flow. And similar story, we had 11 bidders for that project, and it came in well under budget as well. So we have funding from the state for this one, and so far we're going to be able to cover the project with that funding. So again, asking you all to approve a resolution for us to move forward and award the contract and keep that project going.
Any questions on that project?
I have questions on a couple of projects ago. Can we go back?
Yeah, we can go back. What we got?
So I have a question on what Nick just brought up, the water. So if they sign off on this, are they approving the water for that development, yet not approving Wakefield?
Basically, yes, ma'am.
Wow. And you've already had discussions with him about that?
I've had some preliminary discussions. I've had more discussions with the developer, that being that we're in a moratorium, and they also have a development agreement with Statesville that references our expired agreement, that I'm in a tough spot and don't see how we can help anything move forward if we have all this stuff up in the air currently.
Anything else? Okay.
Then the last item is the appointment of Mr. Stu Gilman to the DRB. We've already kind of covered that. So